So like I said, it's coming down to the point where you have to do everything in increments, because too much of anything is bad for you. So like I said, isolation is key when you want to deviate and tap into your higher self by deviating from everything that's connected to the three-dimensional paradigm.
Man, BDELL, man, I definitely want to thank you. One more, I know I keep saying that, but this is really the last word. Your thoughts on the Vatican and the doctrine of discovery. I don't think they got rid of it, but they talked about it. What's your thoughts about that, BDELL?
I haven't really, I keep hearing it. Somebody keeps sending me stuff about it. I haven't really like looked into about what's going on.
Okay. All right. With that being said, once again, BDELL, before we get out here, please leave your info for those who want to tap in with you, brother. YouTube, Instagram.
Okay, YouTube is BDELL1014. B as in boy, D as in dog, ELL1014. And the same thing for my Instagram, BDELL1014, BDELL1014.
Hey, I want to thank you, my brother, for coming on here once again, man. Every time you've come on here so far, I mean, you absolutely drop it, bro. So
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing. I advise everybody to follow this brother on Instagram and YouTube. He always has amazing posts, and the brother's on it, man. He's serious about this information. With that being said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We still got about 2,800 people in the chat. Thank you for tuning in. I should be on another show tomorrow night, so hopefully I'll see y'all tomorrow night. With that being said, we getting out of here, family. Peace.
Peace.
To the best.
Yeah. Hold on.
Peace to the family.
Yes.
Indeed.
BDELL Red Pill, how y'all doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing really
doing wonderful. All is well. You know, I'm gratitude. Grateful to be here.
Indeed. Oh man, we're gonna have a great show tonight. As usual, I really appreciate what you brothers bring to the global community in terms of your teachings, and I know tonight is going to be absolute fire. Great conversation tonight. I was actually inspired to talk about this. Just watching, just scratching my head. I'm watching the situation with John Morant, and that's an aspect of what we're dealing with. Right. And I'm scratching my head, and I'm saying, how the hell are you that dumb? And you're not that dumb. He's a smart dude. People who are around him say he's actually pretty intelligent. And I notice every time he's flashing a gun. For those who don't know, John Morant probably one of the top 5, definitely top 10 basketball players in the NBA. Amazing talent, amazing young talent. The brother's only 23 years old, and he was caught earlier this year flashing a gun on the internet. Yeah. While he was listening to NBA YoungBoy. I think he was in a strip club. He listened to NBA YoungBoy flashing a gun. Got suspended by the NBA. Big ordeal. Everybody said, all right. The brother made a mistake. He's young. Let's hope he learned his lesson. 3 months, 4 months later, this dude is in the car, a dude filming him, and he flashes a gun again. We like, what the hell is wrong with this nigga's crazy? So, but one thing that everybody noticed, that everybody's commenting on, is that he's listening to NBA YoungBoy while he's doing this. So not to single NBA YoungBoy out, but to have a bigger, wider, deeper conversation that we continuously have that the world has not caught up on yet about music. We are very musical people genetically. In our DNA, we are music. We vibrate. We're rhythmic. We're melodic. We're harmonic. And it seems as though the music influences us more than anybody in the world. I don't know. Maybe you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to talk to y'all. What it seems to be that when people listen to this music, that they are possessed. They know right from wrong. They know what they're doing, what's wrong or what's right. But in that temporary moment, when they're vibing out to the music, it's like they're possessed, and they just do whatever the music tells them to do in that very moment. So let's talk about frequency programming, possession, and let's talk about this whole John Morant thing, and we'll get wider with the discussion and conversation. But what do y'all think about music having the ability to temporarily possess somebody, and regardless of whether you know right or wrong, you're going to end up doing shit that you hear in those lyrics?
All right. to add context to the question,
Yeah.
excellent question that you asked real quick, my good brother.
Yeah.
I want to open it up before anybody says anything to add context to who NBA Youngboy is.
Okay, great.
Because there's often an arrogance that people will have about artists that they don't know about, or if they don't listen to them, or if they're younger than them. Don't let it be a name that somebody who's in this audience has never heard before. NBA Youngboy, who it, man? Why are we talking about that? That, you know what I mean? And they'll try to dismiss it as something small.
Right.
But I want to share with everybody that's out there that this artist that we're talking about, and when we talk about the frequency, and when we talk about the influence, and when we talk about who controls the minds of your children, because I saw y'all all on Mother's Day. Everybody is a mama. Y'all all got teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
He is on Billboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
On rec, he broke a Billboard record for having the most album entries on Billboard, more than Jay-Z. Hold on.
I did not know that.
Yes.
He has more album entries on Billboard, right? Not number ones. He has 3 number ones on the Billboard charts, but he had more album entries on the billboards than Jay-Z. Okay, broke Jay-Z's record, right? He surpasses Jay-Z for solo rappers with the most charting albums on Billboard Top 200. So they're not listening to his singles, they're listening to his albums, the whole body of work. Okay, he is a mega artist that nobody really understands and knows about of the older generation. Okay, he's not only setting the trend, but he is creating the egregor. He is tapping into the egregor that these children are marching to. And when we identify what we're seeing, right, and we are identifying this as crash out culture. This crash out culture is an offshoot of what our good brother, the Kabbalah god, A.A. Rashid, the rabbi, coined aesthetic nihilism, right? And we could get into the Western philosophy of nihilism and existentialism and everything, so we can understand what it is that we're seeing. Not just with NBA Youngboy, he belongs to a collective. This collective of artists represent what we would deem shadow. This collective of artists will represent what we deem the shadow self or the dark side, right? In man, you're presented with 3 different personas. You have your public face that you show the world. You have your public persona that you go outside with. Then you have your private persona or your private self, or the private that nobody knows, only you and your whiz. She knows your kinks. She knows what you like. She knows your secrets. But then you have the secret self that people don't know where the bodies are buried. Only you know these secrets. It's some things that you take to the grave with you that people really don't know about, and they'll never get to see that person. These artists, they come to us with their secret self. I'm a killer. And we start finding out that they really killing. These artists are different than the artists that we grew up with. The artists that we grew up with were not killing people. They were talking about it. They were rapping excellently about it. They were planting the seeds. The artists of today are really killing shit. For real. To the level where there was a documentary on King Von, and they identified him as a serial killer and made the case.
Damn.
Yeah. They showed, they broke down the definition of what a serial killer, and he fit right in that category. And the documentary, which is 3 hours long, lined up all of his bodies. They showed how he would tweet about it. But let me share something with you about what he was doing in those days, because we're talking early Twitter. We're talking 2012, 2011. He was seeding the minds of millions of the youth back then. Right? So the 12-year-olds grew up to be the 20-year-old Pop Smokes of 2020. They was like, yo, Pop Smoke looks so old for his age. Yeah, because he was participating in the Squid Games of what Chicago and them were doing on Twitter, right? People talk about AI is gonna kill him. Nah, them niggas from Chicago is gonna kill you. The drill rappers are gonna kill you. We watching rappers kill each other. This was never like this before. I was reminded of that watching the Dear Mama documentary on Tupac Amaru Shakur, right? Put some respect on his name. And it was showing that it wasn't a lot of rappers getting shot every day back in those days. When he got shot in Quad Studio, the next rapper to get shot was him in Las Vegas. But nowadays, in the year of 2020, there was 200 dead rappers. So there's an egregor on the loose. And an egregor is a thought form. The day they made hip hop pop music, they put that egregor into the mainstream. And by putting it into the mainstream, by making a certain frequency pop or popular culture, oh man, they succeeded in doing something that we're seeing the remnants of. And that is to erect what I could see as, if they say that if they say that hip hop is dead, then God damn it, this is the deaf culture. So yeah, I'm handing it over to you, brother.
Well, I agree when you was talking about the psychological egregor. So that is conducive to the fact that it's acclimated to dark psychology. So the music in itself, when you're at a low vibrational state, it can basically cause a behavior modification.
Yes.
So with that being said, that's a form of demonic possession, I should say, because you also got to understand that your energetic morphic field is connected to your nervous system, and your nervous system is also acclimated to your neurological faculties. So when your energetic morphic field is at a low vibrational state, this is where you got demonic entities and disembodied spirits can attach themselves.
Right.
So now you can control on an energetic level to where you can carry out a certain agenda that's being propagated by archons in the quantum world.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, we're talking about individuals who are not only lowering their fields and whatnot, they are intoxicated. They are inebriated, right? They're underneath the trance of pharmacopoeia in some states and whatnot. So they got holes in their aura already. You know what I mean? Their defenses are down because, you know, they're defocalized. That brings these walk-ins. What are these walk-ins doing? These walk-ins are those voices that people claim that they're hearing. Those voices that people that they claim that they're hearing are actually that's the egregor. That's the programming. You know what I'm talking about? And it's telling you, you know, so people listen to certain type of music and then you go to sleep and you have a nightmare. You go to sleep and you start thinking about that. You go to sleep and an incubus or a succubus basically is on top of you. You know what I'm talking about? You have one of those, you listen to a certain type of frequency of music at 3 a.m. while smoking some GMO weed, while drinking some Douce. You know what I'm talking about? And you might knock down a sausage or two. Pause. Right? And then you wonder why when you fall down or when you fall out, because people are not even going to sleep, they're passing out. And then you're going on these journeys and whatnot, and you like, yo, and don't be on some shrooms or something, because a lot of y'all, I don't even want it. Y'all really be on the edge.
And then also to add to that, you also have the 72 sigils of demons that's conducive to the Ars Goetia. When you look at certain cymatic frequencies of the music, they're basically a direct emulation of those sigils to where sigils can take over the body. So that's why it's imperative to listen to music that's operating at 420 megahertz frequency. So that's why.
At least for a cleanse or a washing, it's almost like an auric shower. You know, I'm not going to be sitting in the Maybach, you know what I'm saying, going way back and try to lie to y'all and make it seem like I'm only listening to opera music. You feel me? I'm a Scorpio. I indulge in those dark chords and those synths and whatnot. I can listen to the darkest of the darkest things. It's what is it doing to, it's not about what you listening, it's what are you doing after listening to these quote unquote frequencies and whatnot. I know how to transmute. I know how to turn that into some form of creativity and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to basically, I'm an alchemist. I can alchemize that energy that I'm receiving from one of these Gucci Man classics and whatnot, and I could apply that to where it needs to be applied because my mind is right. I'm thinking at a higher level. So, you know what I'm saying? Nothing can, it's not going to bring me down, but I would be almost remissive if I were not to identify multiple throughways in these artists that are on similar frequencies. And I'm like, nah, I see the egregor at work. It's a demonic one at that. And egregor, let me give you the definition because people should really look into this. It has an historic reference to it, but it's also an occultic aspect to it. And you're dealing with high level occultists. You're dealing with high level, quote unquote, wizardry in these industries that are multi-trillion dollar industries, but not just multi-trillion dollar industries. These are the industries that control the world. Music is a global power. It could be weaponized in many ways. It's beyond a cash cow.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with you were saying, like it's being weaponized. It's most definitely being weaponized on a scale of eugenics as well, because a lot of people got to understand that it's also plays a part with the with Henry Kissinger when he said that he put out that National Memorandum 200 in 1975. He said that Black birth is at unstable heights, and the best way to basically infiltrate, us on the spiritual level is to compromise the music. Right
after Patrick Moynihan put out the report in 1965, the Negro Problem. Right. So that's their version of white papers. Right. They put out research papers, and their research papers are picked up by colleges, professors, scholars, scientists, investors, all kind of people around the world. They'll take that paper and that research and work upon it. You know what I mean? They'll create experiments. They'll create budgets, and they'll put those budgets to work. And if anybody on this quote unquote channel or this platform tonight is under the impression or as naive enough to think that the music industry has not been highly infiltrated by CIA, FBI, and all of the quote unquote counterintelligence agencies, the same counterintelligence agency that crushed the Panthers and crushed all of the resistance behind these quote unquote what they call enemy lines, then you out of your goddamn mind. I was in Philadelphia airport, and they had a display about the 50th anniversary that coincides with the 50th anniversary of hip hop of Stax record, Philadelphia Sound, right? And when I saw that, it reminded me of what happened with Gamble and Huff when Clive Davis went from the CIA, wrote a white paper detailing how to infiltrate black music. Clive Davis took that white paper and then he infiltrated Philadelphia. And when they took down that black label, when they took down that magnificent, I'm talking about Patti LaBelle, I'm talking about Teddy Pendergrass, I'm talking about the super duper legends. If you don't know about the Philadelphia Sound, please look it up. And it was all melanated owned and whatnot. But that was a checkmate. When they was able to take that, they infiltrated, and we've never been able to look back. They created departments and they labels for R&B. And then Clive Davis let things rock for a little while. He's the main culprit. I'm one of the people who, yes, I will identify players and quote unquote agents that exist down the line and whatnot, but I like to hit primal source. You know what I'm talking about? I like to attack the primal source. It's almost like getting to the root of a tree. You people are out here cutting off the branches and whatnot. I'm going for the head of the snake. I'm going to give you the root, so when you pull it up, you can really affect this thing. Because there are living people right now who are the root to some of the issues in
Arcachina and things of that nature.
Right. So these people, these so-called elites, do you think that, they are allowed to do a certain amount of evil in the world, but whenever entities in a high dimension want to use them, they could take over them like a robot? So let's say we think because it came from Obama, it's something bad, or it came from Steven Spielberg, or Star Wars came from this one, it's something bad. But when these people who do a lot of evil things, but when it's time, when the ancestors or the spirits want to use them, they will use them for something good. And we have to look beyond the messenger into the message, because it's coming from the higher ups. Do you think like these people are being controlled right now to do the bidding for us? It looks bad, but they're really doing the bidding for us. Do you think that's a possibility?
I believe so. You go to L's Holy and Jill, Revelations chapter 17. It tells you that the evil reptilian gave power to the beast, and the evil reptilian is also connected to the 200 fallen angels, who are the cherubim. So when you talking about as far as who controls the energy extraction matrix,
right,
the Canaanite are the ones who control this whole system, and they're doing the bidding of a certain archonic figure and the archonic forces behind the scenes, or the unseen hand, or your so-called, black nobility. The best way I can explain it is when you watch the movie Cabin in the Woods. You had the elite, you had these puppeteers underground in that movie. In order for them to basically maintain rulership over the planet, they had to sacrifice a certain demographic of people in order to maintain the material plane, basically. So I actually think the same thing actually takes place in real time when you're talking about sacrificing. So this is why you have a lot of trafficking and a lot of people coming up missing, a lot of people coming up dead. When you're talking about these psychological operations, they have to implement that form of degradation on the planet in order to stretch out the timeline on the cosmic clock. So they do that stuff on purpose.
Right. What message do you think? What message did you derive about animals from this movie?
As far as the deers or whatever, it's really just telling you connect right back to nature. That's what I got from it, because a lot of these the angelic forces, they connect with animals and they connect with children. So that's why the little girl, she had a veneration and she was connected to the deer, and they were basically leading her into the woods, and she actually found the bunker system. If she wasn't connected to the energy of nature, she at the end of the movie, she would have never found that bunker system. But since she was so tapped into the nature, she was able to create a form of survival.
People talked about some of the frequencies in the movies.
I forgot all about that.